1987. It is the second oldest hotel in Waikiki. If you guys need to go shopping in Waikiki, here to the left, we got the little Duke's Lane. If you look to the left, you got that little kiosk is there. That's where you buy your souvenirs and trinkets for your friends and family back home. That's where all the cheap stuff. A lot of those cheap stuff used to be sold at the international marketplace right over here. Not anymore. Over the years has changed a lot now. A lot of high-end stores and restaurants now. If you guys ever go inside here, they're going to try and sell you Rolexes and Teslas for souvenirs. Much more different than what it used to be. Up ahead, this is our beautiful historic hotel. This is the oldest hotel in Waikiki. Here to the right is the Moana Survivor. So this hotel right here was actually built in 1901. Grand opening night of this hotel used to cost $1.50 per night at this hotel. $1.50 before. It ain't $1.50 anymore, that's for sure. That hotel is also known as the First Lady of Waikiki.
There's the Waikiki beach.
Alright guys, so we have the beachfront area. So this is for the Duke statue. Red line.
I don't know.
Hi guys. Are you guys
Yeah, we're going.
red line today? October?
Ayoko, ayoko.
Mamaya may beach din tayo eh.
Mainit eh.
May beach din tayo mamaya eh.
Just take a big one.
Wait, no, big guy.
No, we have a beach later
Got a
too.
crowded place today.
Sa Lua.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. But this is nice.
Have a seat right over here, buddy. Can you sit down right by you? Everybody can. Thank you. Not from me, but online you can. Or from the guy down the road at the shopping plaza, you can buy it from them. Yeah. All right.
Sabi sa'yo mo yun eh. Ang ganda mo.
Daming tao dito.
Yesterday you should have
A lot of people.
Yesterday you should have come with them. Perfect.
It's a lot of people here.
Yeah, good video.
Let me know when you get ready back there. You guys good?
Waikiki beach.
Alright guys, so right over here is called the Kuhio Beach. It is named after the Prince of Hawaii, Jona Kuhio Kamehameha Olepi Koai. So just up ahead there is a statue of him, of Prince Kuhio. But as for this Kuhio Beach, it is one of 7 beaches, but also the busiest beach here in Waikiki. Alright guys, hold on to a strap. Gonna be rolling out. Also over here to the right of the Kuhio Beach, we have the statue of Mr. Duke Hanamoku. Now Duke Hanamoku is known as the champions of Anai, meaning adopted son. So he was actually adopted into the royal family. So here's Prince Kuhio, Prince of Hawaii. Kuhio Beach goes all the way up to the big wall. On the other side of the wall is called the Queen's Beach, which is named after Queen Kapiolani. So is the park up ahead at the end of the road. Queen Kapiolani Park is the biggest and the oldest park here in Honolulu. That park also, back in the day, in the 1800s, was part of the horse race track of the King and Queen. To the left of the park is actually the zoo. So on the other side of the asset in Waikiki, we got the Honolulu Zoo. That was once the horse stables of the King and Queen. You might want to hold on to you guys' hats, darling. Yeah, kind of windy on next on this route. The North Shore. Now this mountain right here, the Kola Mountain, is the ones that you guys see in the dinosaur movie called Jurassic Park. You guys all watched that, right? So these are mountains inside that movie. But they actually film on the North Shore side, never this side over here. A lot of housing on this side, high rises and all. As for this part of the mountain right here, we got 2 beautiful valleys. We got Pololo, and up ahead to the right is called Manoa. Pololo here, Pololo Valley, is more like a Hawaiian homestead land. A lot of Hawaiian families been living there for decades. As for Manoa, it is the home of our University of Hawaii. Right back here too, the Manoa is also known as the rainforest here in Honolulu, but also the second wettest area here in Hawaii, other than Kauai. So this valley right over here to the right, Manoa, we have a lot of beautiful waterfalls back here. But one of the popular hiking trails is called the Manoa Valley Falls Park. It's about a 3/4 mile hike all the way into a beautiful waterfalls we got back there. So nice area, but also very wet back there. You guys all know who Bruno Mars is, right? That's where he grew up, right over there, in that valley. So Bruno Mars, he's Filipino, Puerto Rican, that he grew up in that valley, but also went to the school on the hillside called the Roosevelt High School. So all those schools in this area right here, I'll show you the schools when we get up into the Punch Bowl crater. So Bruno Mars, he actually grew up in that valley only because he was born homeless while living here in Hawaii. So his dad used to bring him to Waikiki where he used to make money for his family. So they used to live in a rundown house back there. That's why he used to live in that valley. Later on, he actually got popular. He was known as the little Michael Jackson here in Hawaii. He started performing at the hotels. Then later moved to the mainland where he became big time. So in Hawaii, he's also known as the rags to riches kind of guy. He was born homeless, and look at him now. Really rich now. But the valley right here in Manoa, where he grew up. And also, canal over here is called Makali. It's where the Rock Johnson also grew up. Actor and also the WWE wrestler, The Rock. So he grew up in this neighborhood right here, but also went to the school called the McKinley High School. Now guys, there's so much water that flows out the mountain. They dug this big canal right here. It's called the Alawai Canal. Alawai in Hawaiian means path of rich water. This canal goes all the way out to the ocean by the Ala Moana Beach Park and Magic Island area. It is about 2.5 miles long, so there's actually salt and fresh water. But there were two reasons why they chose this canal. One reason to direct the flow of water that flows out the mountain to the ocean, and the other one to get rid of mosquitoes. Now back before Waikiki was ever built, in the early 1900s, this whole area of Waikiki used to be a big marshland, a bunch of rice paddies, vegetation. With that, they had a lot of mosquitoes that carried around many viruses, got a lot of people sick. So a guy named Walter Dillingham dredged this canal back in 1928 to get rid of that mosquitoes. And it actually pretty much worked. So all the dirt that was dug out here in the canal was put in Waikiki to get rid of that marshland, to fill up all the marshlands in this area. By the time 1930s came, they had about 3 or 4 hotels. Now they got over 180 hotels in Waikiki. Anybody ever been to Hawaii when it was storming rain for about 3 days straight? You guys see how it looks like here? You know that main road, Kalakaua Avenue? You could put a canoe in the middle of that road and row yourself down to the next hotel. That's how deep it got, about 2 feet deep. Yeah, so in January it happened here in Waikiki. Yeah, people tourists swimming in the middle of Kalakaua Avenue. Raining for 3 days straight. Very hard rain. Even the canal looked like it was ready for overflow too. Yeah, so that's the only thing we worry about is on this island. It's all the flash floods, all the water that flows out from the mountain. But you guys all know that in Hawaii, we got one of the best drinking waters in the world. That you practically drink straight from the water faucet. Okay? Our water comes from the mountain range over there. The water filters out through lava rocks over thousands of years. And then we got the wells all underground over here. That they drew the wells. Over here to the far right is the Hawaii Convention Center. Now this actually costed inside there. It's called the Jurassic World. We also filmed that in there too. So lots of things like the Convention Center. Alright guys, so we just left Waikiki, now in the Waikiki district. To the left is called the Ala Moana area. Now as we go through the routes too, I'll show you a lot of good places to go eat and much affordable than Waikiki. The cheaper. Now, right across the convention center, got that beige building to the left. That is the Yakiniku restaurant. Anybody tried a Yakiniku restaurant before? Yeah, Yakiniku is normally Japanese, right? This is the Korean one. Really good. It's called Sura Hawaii. It's one of the best Korean yakinikus over here in this area. So you might want to check out that one. Not too expensive, but really good food. It's the one I eat at. I go to this one every time. Only because I live back here in this area. Better than the Red Lobster. Much cheaper too. You guys did not buy the Walmart area to explore some of those good restaurants down here at the Kiramoku Street. Where the Walmart is. Now as for the name Kiramoku, it's actually a name of a high chief in Maui. He was actually Queen Kaumana's father. Queen Kaumana was King Kamehameha's wife. King Kamehameha had many wives, but Queen Kaumana was the favorite wife of them all. But Queen Kaumana was also the most powerful woman back in the Hawaiian days. Now, after King Kamehameha passed away, Queen Kaumanu took over the Hawaiian government till Kamehameha III actually came of age to take over the throne. She did a lot of things, changed a lot of ways of laws that King Kamehameha made. King Kamehameha had many strict laws. So one of the laws that Kamehameha made had in place was actually men, women, and children all had to eat on separate tables. But when he passed away, she took away that law, where one family at one table, the other family at one table. After that, when she got into Christianity, she actually banned hula for all Hawaiian people. So hula was banned for the Hawaiian people for over 50 years. The school ahead to the right is also named after her, Queen Kaumanu. So I'm going to tell you about the hula history that was banned for over 50 years. As for the hula, they didn't appreciate the hula and didn't like that only because when the missionaries first came to Hawaii and they first saw the site of hula was called the kahiku. That one is more like a chant to the gods. And obviously, what the missionary people seen was people dancing naked. So the missionaries did not approve of that. So they convinced Queen Kaumanu to ban the hula, which she did in the 1820s. When King Kamehameha III finally came of age to take over the throne, he bring back the hula a little bit, but the women still could not dance hula. The men had to wear turtlenecks and long sleeves. Fast forward all the way to the 1880s, King Kalakaua, the last king of Hawaii, finally bring it back. But he bring back the hula all the way where men, women, and children could dance hula. But he bring back the different kind of hula called the awana. That is the ones you guys see at the shopping malls, the hotels, the beaches, or maybe at parades. So that's more like a celebration and entertainment. So that's the hula that he brings back to, the awana hula. So two different kind of hulas you guys see nowadays is the awana and the kahiku. Kahiku is more like a chant to the gods. Yeah, long story short about that hula history though. And as for the Museum of Arts right over here, anybody go to the museum today? These guys did. I told them to bring my hair or something. Who you with? The only. Another long story short, it's called the Paulette out there in the 1830s. It's while King Kamehameha III was actually ruling over the Hawaiian government. Yeah, so when this British admiral was passing by Hawaii, people were fighting over the land in the 1830s. It's called the Paulette up there. When this admiral came to Hawaii, see what was going on. He took advantage of the situation where he took over the Hawaiian government by force. And when that happened, word got back to Britain, and another admiral came to Hawaii, helped Hawaiians get back the land, which his name was Admiral Thomas. So the park over there was actually dedicated to that British admiral who helped Kamehameha III get back the land. But in the park area, he said these words, it actually means the life of land is perpetuated in righteousness. So those words you're going to see at the state capitol and also at the Kamehameha stop. Yeah, that became our Hawaii state motto. When I was small and elementary and intermediate, we had to say that in the morning, every morning, in front of the whole class. Yeah, so we had to say the Hawaiian and then the... Yeah, back then too, there was no such thing as child abuse too. You get whacked. Sore. Yeah, so those words, you're going to see it at the state capitol. So right over there in front of us, folks, is the Hawaii State Capitol. And Capitol was built in 1969. Now the whole building structure represents a part of Hawaii. So in the middle of the Capitol, there's a hole in the middle of the Capitol. Anybody want to take a guess why they got a hole in the middle of the Capitol? She's correct, the volcano. The whole building represents a big volcano. But on the ground floor, there's two chambers. Kind of diagonal, look like small little volcanoes. You see it? To the left? On the ground floor, there's the chambers on the left and the right side. That's the chambers. Yeah, so she's right, it represents a big volcano. But before I get to the rest, anybody go into the Iolani Palace or the Capitol today? Nobody? Okay. Okay, like I said, this represents a big volcano. You see the pillars? Goes around the Capitol. And if you look at the rooftop, you notice how nice and smooth it is? It spreads out like palm tree leaves. That's supposed to be royal palm trees. If you look to the right, you see all these palm trees all lined up in a row? That's the royal palm trees. So at the capital, there's supposed to be royal palm trees because they like that stuff, right? All the way around. The little lines that run up and down, that's supposed to be the rain in Hawaii. In the middle of the capital, there's only 8 pillars. 8 pillars, 4 on each side. The 8 pillars represents the 8 major islands here in Hawaii. Behind the wood right here is a pond that goes around the capital. The pond's supposed to be the nice house. So this house that you see in the front is called the Washington Place. So this house was originally built in 1842 by John Dominus. John Dominus was Queen Liliuokalani's husband. But they said that when he went sailing, he never returned from his journey. But this is also the house where Queen Liliuokalani passed away in 1917 in one of the rooms on the ground floor. So if you look to the left, you can see the palace beyond the monkey pod trees there. So the palace is where they imprisoned the queen in the 1890s, overthrown of the Hawaiian government. Then later, she was released to this house where she went for her husband. So the husband never returned from his journey. But later passed away in this house in 1917 on one of the rooms on the ground floor. As for the tree in the front, that's called the eucalyptus tree. Yeah, that tree was there since the 1840s. It's a very old tree right there. And the flags you can see up there, Hawaiian flag, American flag, and the governor's flag. Now up ahead over here is a church too that was built in the 1850. Originally, Kamehameha IV and Queen Emma was the one building this church. But sad to say, they passed away before it was ever completed. So the brother of Kamehameha IV, the number 5 guy, actually finished only the back cornerstone of the church in the 1850. If you look to the right, you see this tent right here? You see the tent on the side of the church? Now, you see the siding of the church, the last cornerstone all the way in the back. You notice kind of greenish color. The last stone all the way in the back there. It's a different color stone church. Stone. That is actually made out of coral. Just the back cornerstone. So Kamehameha finished only that back cornerstone for the brother. The rest of the church was actually shipped over from England, like Queen Emma. She was traveling all the way to England to buy a lot of materials to bring back to build the church. And you can see the bell tower too. You're missing 3 pieces at the very top. Those 3 pieces actually got lost in sea. So everything you see of the church right here in the front was all shipped over from England by Queen Emma. Then Kamehameha V finally finished it because they passed away. Now they said the dimensions of this church is supposed to be the same dimensions of Noah's Ark. You look upside here, it's a very big one now. How good everybody at reading Hawaiian words? You guys good? If you guys can, that's some group on my last group, they actually pretty much agreed on. So right up ahead over here is a school, okay? It actually used to be called Central Intermediate School. They changed the name back to the original name. So right over here along the fence, there's a yellow sign. So it's Princess Root, and then get that Hawaiian word right there. Oh, somebody said it almost correct. Right there, you see that word right there? You guys can read that? Supposed to be Ki'i. Yeah, Ki'i Liko Lani. So that's why they changed the name to Central Intermediate School, so a lot of people had a hard time saying that. So Princess Ruth Ki'i Liko Lani was Kikamehameha's great-granddaughter. You see this middle building right here? This is supposed to be the palace that was built in 1873. Just this middle building right here. This is actually a real palace. Now it's part of the school now. So Princess Ruth Ki'i Liko Lani, here's another beautiful mural of Princess Ruth. So she was King Kamehameha's great-granddaughter. She only lived in the house once, but later passed away. Then the family just sold the land to the state. It turned it into a learning center. So that is Princess Ruth Ki'i Liko Lani now. So just remember now, Kalakaua and Kamehameha, they were like cousins. Okay, distant cousins, but Kamehameha had more of the royal blood than Kalakaua. They were more like on top of the line. This is Kamehameha's side, Princess Ruth. Alright guys, so right up ahead is the Punch Bowl crater, and we're going to be heading up there. But when we get inside of the crater, I got to turn off the crater. He installed some cannons to signify all the merchant ships that came to Hawaii. This was actually back in the early 1800s. Inside of the crater in the 1930s was also used as a rifle range for the National Guard at one point in time. Inside of the crater too, we're gonna see somebody things that the military dug out inside the side walls over there. Some holes inside a crater up here. But the area is also some beautiful lookouts. You guys like free stuff, right? The free lookouts, right? So the Punchbowl Crater is one of them. If you guys did not know, it's a free lookout. You catch a Uber or drive a car or a scooter up there. That's always this valley too. Another free lookout. So I like to show everybody all the free areas. There's a lot of the places near Waikiki that are paid in. So this one is free. It's called the Honolulu and Pali. Now the English word Pali is actually called cliff. So right up in the valley is where Kamehameha pushed everyone off the cliff, and that's where he ended his last and final battle. So this is the history about Kamehameha. Then he fought his last battle right inside this area. So what happened was he sailed over from Big Island, which he's from. He landed his canoes in Waikiki, but he stayed hidden for about a month or so, just to observe the other tribes' whereabouts and plan his attack. Now when he attacked the other people, he caught them by surprise, which he chased everyone around this crater, pushed them into the Nuhuanu here to the left, and up towards the Pali, and finally pushed everybody over that 2,100 feet drop cliff up there. So that cliff now became one of the most beautiful lookouts on the island. So that's the one I've been telling everybody. If you want to check out one of the most beautiful lookouts on this island, it's right up there at Pali. Anybody been up to the Pali before? No? What about you guys back there? No? Never heard of it? P-A-L-I. So if you actually Google that, you might want to check that one out. Okay? And that's where Kamehameha pushed everybody up the edge. You guys all heard of the Stairway to Heaven, right? Okay. The Pali is right there. Right next to the stairway. So when you're looking over the cliff and look to the left, you can see the stairs. It's actually pretty nice. Yeah, so that's the one I highly recommend, the Pali lookout. Yeah. Alright guys, so right up ahead also, we got the sign says, Ikomamai, Papakulea. Ikomamai means welcome. And Papakulea is this homestead land over here. All these Hawaiian families are living. So it is the oldest one, but used to be the biggest. Not anymore the biggest though, but it is the oldest. So once you pass this bridge, it's all the Hawaiian homestead land. I wish I had a double decker. It would be nice. Yeah. Alright guys, so on the people on the left side, if you bring out you guys' camera out, you got a nice view looking out this area. And on the right, people on the right side, I'll drive slow for you guys coming back out, so you guys can take a nice shot. So right over here to the left, you can actually see the Diamond Head, all of Waikiki. Beautiful areas. Way above everything. How's that feel? Anybody told you guys about the story about Diamond Head? Okay, Diamond Head, the reason why they call it Diamond Head, because these British sailors were sailing by in the 1820s, and when they were looking at the crater with binoculars, they seen something shining in the crater. It's almost diamond. See if you can get a nice shot. Okay, the surface found because the flag is all the way up. Okay, guys, ready? Your fingers better be fast now. Click, 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 click. Okay, ready? When we straighten up, there's a nice view of Lady Columbia, the steps. It's a nice view of this side. Gonna be fast. Click, 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 click. Yeah, not supposed to stop this way. I hope you guys got them. right at the very top. So I'm gonna go all the way to the corner, see if we can get a nice shot. You guys can see it from the back? How's that view? Let me know when you guys got it. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Yeah, if you actually look good on the walls too, you can see little inscriptions on the walls. Got them back there? Okay. Oh yeah. Anybody ever heard of a World War veteran, Ernie Pyle? Okay, he's buried over here too. We got this big cement slabs right over here. The first one, we got two graves of the unknown. And then right in the middle of unknown graves with the flower, that's Ernie Pyle from World War II. He got killed by his fire.
Reporter.
Yeah, journalist or something. Yeah, he got his grave right over here, Ernie Pyle. And then this one with the flowers is the guy from the astronaut from the Challenger shuttle back in the 80s. So if you guys drive up here scooters or whatever, feel free to look out. Nice view up there. Yeah, see how nice the Chinese banyan tree is, nice and shaped. Yeah, Chinese banyan tree got the roots at the base of the tree. And you know why they call it the Chinese banyan tree? You know how that Chinese got that long whiskers coming down? Okay, the last tree over here where we're making this turn, we actually look underneath the tree, got all that whiskers all hanging. You see it?
Yeah.
Chinese banyan tree.
Close the window.
Alright guys, on the right side, you guys got you guys camera out? Here's a nice view looking over Waikiki. Your turn on the way out. How's this view? You see the ocean from out here. Let me know when you guys got your pictures on the right side. So as over here to the right, you can see all those schools. You can see a big dome out there to the far right. That is the University of Hawaii. You can see also the college dorms back there. The big dome out there. University of Hawaii. Down below over here is actually the public school called the Roosevelt. This is the one Bruno Mars went to. Roosevelt High School, named after the 26th president. The next bridge over is the Punahou one. That's the one many of the NFL players went to. It's also the private school built in 1843. You can actually see those buildings up on the hillside, so you can see all three schools in a row. And also up ahead too is actually the Hawaiian homestead land. A lot of Hawaiian families been living up here for many years. Everybody told you guys how much this Hawaiian people pay for the land here? $1 a year. But you gotta be 50% Hawaiian to get that land. There's another way to get the land, and you cannot buy it either. You know what's the other way? You gotta go marry the Hawaiian. Oh yeah, so what? If you guys single, look for the Hawaiian. With the 40-letter last name, you know that's Hawaiian. You gotta land someplace. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the other way to get it. For me, I was born and raised here in Hawaii, so I do not qualify because I'm mostly all Filipino. Yeah, so my grandparents came because of the sugarcane industry back in the days, yeah, working the plantations. Even more so, I married Japanese, so even more I don't qualify for it. But that's okay, I'm still glad to call this my home. I love this place. So a lot of people ask me, aren't you ever gonna move from Hawaii? Nope. It's pricey though, but I managed to work it out. Just stay away from a place called Waikiki and Ala Moana, and you'd be okay. I just work in the areas. But other than that, you'd be okay though. I can survive here, so can you. Alright guys, so our next stop is actually at the Boston Botanical Garden. Anybody go to the garden today? Oh, good choice. Beautiful garden. Koalas. So that mountain you see to the far right is called Mount Kahala. That one is the tallest mountain on the island. So now it stands almost like 4,100 feet high, but the military owns that one right there. Because to the far right of the mountain, the biggest military base on the island, the Schofield Army Barracks, and the Wheeler. The Wheeler is the one the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941. They actually hit the Wheeler and the Bell at the same time. Then they came around into Pearl Harbor. So the tactic was to cripple the Air Force so the airplanes could not take off. But between the two mountains, it's actually the flats. That's where a lot of the plantation was back in the day too. Sugarcane, and also you got the pineapple, the gold plantation too in that area. So when the plantation people lived here in Hawaii, they lived actually close to the mountain, but on the flats. All the big bosses actually had houses up on the hillside. So on the way up, we actually passed some of the old plantation homes. The plantation houses back in the day used to have these metal roofs. And this one's over here is all rusted already. So we actually passed it on the way up. And if you look actually right down the road on the right side, right over here is some of the old plantation houses. I believe since the 1930s, around that time. Right over here. These are the old plantation houses. Look like ready to fall down. Check out these houses. There's metal roofs. This is the old plantation house right here. And then I'm going to show you that oldest school here in Hawaii called the Royal School. So as you head down the road over here, right across the freeway, it's actually that school that we actually just passed too. That is called the Royal School. So that one is actually the oldest school here in Hawaii that was built in 1827. Now the children that went to that school in 1827 was all the royal family's children. So right over here, the oldest school here in Hawaii, the Royal School. Yes, imagine now, the buildings used to be in the middle of the freeway back in the day. Now it's actually right over here to the side. So anybody go rent a car? You guys? Remember now, Tommy looked up. You need to check out that one. It's pretty nice, you know. I'm going to show you how to get up there though. Really nice. Now you can check out the stairway to heaven without climbing it too. Yeah, I don't highly suggest it. Alright guys, so next stop is the Foster Botanical Garden. It is the oldest botanical garden in the state of Hawaii. It dates all the way back to 1856. So Mary Foster purchased the land. The German botanist is the one that started up the collection. And later, Mary Foster purchased the land from the Queen in the 1880s. She continued on the collection. Now this garden over here got about 6.5 acres of land. And you got 5 beautiful gardens on the inside. So the type of gardens that they got in there, from desert plants all the way to the rainforest plants. So this is going to be our trolley stop for the Foster Botanical Garden. Right over here. Who's going to go here? I could afford this one. Yeah, you know the other ones, expensive. Woo, so my wife wanted to play some pleasure. This guy's also going to be very busy too. Yeah, so there's restaurants over here. That's the only one thing good about this town. These restaurants. Alright, anybody want to get up the first one? Nobody, right? Alright guys, if you look to the left right here, you see the palm tree right there? The tallest one? That is the tallest palm tree in the state of Hawaii. Oh yeah, bigger than anyone in any other island. That's at the Botanical Garden. I'm not too sure how old it is though, but it is the tallest palm tree in Hawaii. But if you look in the background, The mountain range right there. You see how I told you how the mountain looks like on the Pali? Because it's got a little dip and a little slope. So the lookout is right in the middle of that slope right there. That's where the Pali is. So that's where all the wind comes from. Now, if you go back to the left, up the mountain to that tall peak point right up there to the left, that is where the stairway to heaven is at. Right over there, but on the other side. So if you guys go to that lookout and you look to the left, also you can actually see part of the stairs. Pretty cool though. So that's the Pali. It's where you hear all this rain come, the wind coming down there. Alright guys, let's get you to that second Chinatown stop. Alright guys, so in Chinatown we actually had a big history about this place, about the big fire they had in the 1900s. This fire is all because of a pandemic they had during that time. A bunch of merchant ships bring this plague called the bubonic plague. It spread among a lot of people here in Chinatown. So right over here to the left, see these buildings? We used to have a bunch of wooden buildings, and that's where the plague was spreading the most. So they evacuated this block right here and set the buildings on fire. Now you remember I told you about the Pali, we got the high winds? Without these buildings over here, the winds is much stronger. So that same day they set the fire for the buildings to get rid of the plague, the winds kicked up. And you know what happened when they blow the fire, right? It gets bigger. But the wind was coming up from the Pali, so when it's going towards the ocean, that the other buildings across the street started to catch fire. And it was kind of like a chain reaction where the whole Chinatown almost burned all the way down to the ground. It got under control. So what the only thing was left from the old Chinatown is actually all the building with the red bricks. You see some of the building with the red bricks here to the left. I wish I could bring you guys to Kali to show you some Filipino food over there. Some of the Filipino food will look kind of scary, but it tastes pretty good, you know. Just gotta close the eyes and take a bite. I do that too. Some of them are kind of nasty, but when you say, ooh, that thing tastes pretty good. But you just don't like the look of it. Yeah, so every time I meet a Filipino too, they all speak to me in Filipino, but I'm all English though. Yeah, like, oh, sorry, I only know the bad words. But a lot of good Filipino restaurants over here in this area though. If you look to the right over here is a big park right here called Ala Park. Right across the park is a pinkish building with the arches. See right across the park to the right? That used to be the train station from the Oahu Railroad. So that's actually the train station that was built in 1927. That one used to bring the military people to the other bases on the other side of the island back in the days. Now over here up ahead, it's actually the Honolulu harbor where all the merchant ships all came in. But that's also where they built the military base at the Aloha Tower back in the 1930s. Up ahead too, you can actually see the fishing industries right there. Those are the guys that actually catch the fish that are sold in the markets all around the island. I would say one of the best seafood restaurants, one of the freshest fish you could get, is actually at this restaurant down here called Nico's. You guys ever heard of Nico's? Best place for seafood right there. Yeah, don't mind my driving in Chinatown, okay? I take up the whole road. Yeah, I don't want nobody banging my trolley. I take 2 lanes. Guys, welcome to Chinatown Marketplace. If you look to the right, one of my favorite places is this, the Chun's meat. See that meat hanging there? You smell, I can even smell it from here. Ooh. That thing good with beer, you know. That's good stuff right there. Have that with beer. Oh, that's a winner. But over here, a lot of good cheap stuff over here, especially the food. So if you guys come to Chinatown, bring back a small little box of that roast pork. Trust me, you guys are gonna love that. For the older people, we gotta watch out though. You might get this thing called goat. Oh yeah, I cannot walk. You ate too much pork. Yeah, the young people can handle, the older people are the ones catching it. These bakery, these guys pretty good. They closed today, but they're one of the popular bakeries. Up ahead, we got the we actually got that Pig and the Lady restaurant. I think so they closed today though. But they're also one of the best restaurants in Chinatown. They got two restaurants. The other one located at Ward though. Yeah, this is the other famous restaurant in Chinatown, Pig in the Lane. The other one that they own in Ward by Alapuan is called Piggy Small's. Yeah, they own two restaurants, but good though, Vietnamese stuff. So we're gonna go, our stop is here, down this road, so we're gonna go around the block.
Ayan, tintin.
Mamaya pa, di ba?
Hindi, iba na yung ano.
So Walmart is Mama Kim Marketplace. Good restaurants there. Dim sum restaurants on the other side, shops and stores. They got the bakery too over here too on the other lane, yeah? And this is gonna be the trolley stop right next to the hair place. Once you guys